It's 3:15 on a Tuesday afternoon. A software engineer named Sarah sits alone in her car in a corporate parking lot in Austin, Texas. She just walked out of the best meeting of her career. Her boss offered her the promotion she's been chasing for 3 years, $105,000 a year. She said yes. She shook hands, she smiled. And now she's sitting in her Honda Civic with her phone calculator open, and she wants to cry. Because the math isn't mathing. After federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, Medicare, her take-home is around $72,000. $6,000 a month. That sounds like a lot. That should be a lot. But her rent just went up to $2,400. Her student loan payment is $420. Her car payment is $380. Insurance is $250. Groceries are running her $500 a month now. Gas, another $200. Her phone bill, internet, subscriptions, another $200. She's doing the math. Over and over. And after all of that, after everything she has to pay just to exist, she's got about $1,300 left. For the entire month. For retirement. For emergencies. For saving for a house. For having a life. She just hit 6 figures. The dream, the milestone her parents talked about like it was winning the lottery. And she can't afford to buy a house. She can't afford to have kids. She can barely afford to go out to dinner twice a month. Sarah's not alone. Right now, in parking lots and kitchens and bathroom stalls across America, millions of people making what used to be dream salaries are having the same realization. They're not failing. The math is failing them. And once you see the numbers, you can't unsee them. In November 2025, a finance expert named Karan Singh decided he was done being polite. He posted something on social media that detonated like a bomb. Stop pretending a $100,000 salary is a big deal anymore. The internet exploded. Within hours, the post had millions of views, thousands of comments. The battle lines were drawn immediately. On one side, baby boomers furious at what they saw as entitlement. $100,000 is crazy money. What are you people complaining about? On the other side, millennials and Gen Z, absolutely exhausted, typing in all caps. You clearly don't understand what it's like out here. But Karan wasn't just venting. He brought receipts. Cold, hard data that made the argument irrefutable. He explained that in the year 2000, the Consumer Price Index, the official government measure of how much stuff costs, was sitting at about 172. In 2025, that number hit 317, almost doubled. When you plug those numbers into an inflation calculator, you get a result that should make every working person's blood run cold. $100,000 in 2025 has the exact same purchasing power as $53,000 in the year 2000. Let me say that again, slower. If you are making $100,000 right now, you are living the exact same lifestyle as someone who made $53,000 25 years ago. The dollar lost almost half its value in a single generation. While everyone was busy working, climbing the ladder, trying to make it, the ground beneath their feet was crumbling. But here's what makes this a crisis instead of just an inconvenience. Wages didn't keep up, not even close. The median household income in 2025 is around $83,000. Adjusted for inflation, that's basically the same, actually slightly less than it was 5 years ago. And for young people just starting out, it's even worse. A JP Morgan report from October 2025 found that for workers aged 25 to 29, annual income growth dropped to 5.2%, one of the lowest rates in a decade. Translation: young people aren't getting raises anymore. The career ladder isn't just getting harder to climb, it's getting flatter. You're not getting richer, you're running in place. And if you stop running for even a second, you fall behind. Sarah, sitting in that parking lot with her calculator, just figured this out. She got her big raise, her big promotion, and she's further from her goals than she was 3 years ago. Because while her salary went up $15,000, her rent went up $400 a month, her groceries went up 30%, and the house she was looking at in 2022 that cost $350,000 now costs $520,000. The goalpost didn't just move, it teleported. Let me tell you about Kelsey Lesko and Tim Khalil. They're a couple in New Jersey. Both of them have good jobs, stable income. They did everything right, saved money, avoided debt, built good credit scores. They were the model millennials, the ones who followed all the rules. In June 2023, they decided they were ready to buy their first home. They had their down payment saved. They had their pre-approval letter. They were ready to start their lives. Over the next 6 months, they put in offers on 15 different houses in Monmouth County. 15. They lost every single one. Not because they didn't offer enough, not because their credit was bad, but because in the frenzy of 2023, with interest rates climbing and inventory disappearing, people were making all cash offers. People were waiving inspections. People were bidding $50,000 over asking price. Kelsey and Tim couldn't compete. The last house they bid on, they offered $10,000 over asking. They wrote a letter to the sellers. They begged. And when they got the rejection, Kelsey said it felt like a slap in the face. That's when it hit them. This isn't meant for us. This dream, this basic milestone that their parents achieved at age 28, isn't available anymore. So they gave up. They're still renting a 2-bedroom apartment in New Jersey for $3,000 a month. $3,000. That's $36,000 a year just for rent. Money disappearing into someone else's equity while they build none of their own. Kelsey said it perfectly. We both earn decent salaries. We have stable jobs. We've taken all the right steps, and it still seems impossible for us to own a home. She's not wrong. The data backs her up in the most brutal way possible. A survey from early 2025 found that 79% of millennials say they cannot afford to buy a home right now. 79%. That's not a housing market, that's a housing crisis. And here's the part that should make your stomach turn. 67% of millennials say they regret not buying a home when prices were lower. 45% of millennials believe their generation faces the biggest barriers to home ownership in modern history. And 33%, a full third, directly blame baby boomers for the affordable housing crisis. This isn't just economics anymore. This is generational warfare. Let's talk about why housing became the thing that broke the American dream. In the year 2000, the average home in America cost $207,000. The average household income was around $50,000. So the average home cost about 4 times your annual income. Historically, that ratio hovered around 3 to 3.5 times. It was considered the healthy range, the sustainable range. By 2024, the average home price hit $526,993, but the median household income only rose to $83,000. Now, the average house costs more than 6 times the average income. In some cities, it's 8 times, 10 times. The math stopped working. Housing costs have increased 103% since 2000. That's more than double. While general inflation increased 88%, meaning even after you account for normal inflation, for the general rising cost of everything, housing got way more expensive. And wages? Wages are up about 72% since 2000. So, let me make this crystal clear. Housing costs went up 103%. Wages went up 72%. You are 31 percentage points behind. You lost before the race even started. The average first-time homebuyer in America in 2025 is now 40 years old. 40. That's a record high. It used to be 29. That's an 11-year delay. 11 years of rent. 11 years of not building equity. 11 years of falling further behind. But maybe you're thinking, okay, I can't buy. I'll just rent for a few more years until things calm down. Except things aren't calming down, they're getting worse. In June 2025, the average rent for a starter home in the top 50 metro areas was $1,711 per month. That's $20,532 a year. And that's the average. In Boston, it's $3,000. In San Francisco, Seattle, New York, Los Angeles, you're looking at $3,500 to $5,200 per month. If you're making $100,000, after taxes, you're taking home around $70,000. At $1,700 a month for rent, that's 29% of your take-home pay. And that's if you're lucky enough to find a place at the average price. Your parents, when they were renting in the 80s and 90s, they were spending 20 to 25% of their income on housing. You're spending 30 to 50%, sometimes more. The general rule used to be, don't spend more than 30% of your income on housing. That was the line. Cross it and you're cost-burdened. In 2025, 67% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That number was 63% just 1 year ago. It's going up, not down, up. 15 million more adults under 35 are living with their parents now compared to a decade ago. That's not because this generation is lazy or entitled. It's because the basic math of independent adulthood doesn't work anymore. But let's say you're one of the lucky ones. You found an affordable place. Your rent is manageable. You're making 6 figures. You should be fine, right? Let's walk through what fine actually looks like. The IRS publishes something every year called the Allowable Living Expenses National Standards. It's what they use to figure out what people actually need to survive. Not thrive, survive. Here's what they say one person needs per month for basic living expenses. Food, $497. Housekeeping supplies, $45. Apparel and services, $93. Personal care products, $50. Miscellaneous, $154. That's $839 a month just for the basics. Before housing, before transportation, before healthcare, before student loans. Now let's add the real costs. Transportation. If you own a car, even if it's paid off, you're spending money every single month. Insurance averages $150 to $250. Gas is $200. Maintenance, oil changes, tires, surprise repairs. That's another $100 a month average. And if you're still making payments, add another $500 to $700. There was a viral post a few months ago from someone who thought their car was paid off and they were done spending money on it. Then they actually tracked their costs. In 4 years, they spent $3,600 on insurance, registration, maintenance, and repairs. That's $75 a month for a car they supposedly owned free and clear. Your free car cost you $900 a year. Healthcare. Even if you have employer insurance, you're paying premiums. $200 to $400 per month is typical, and that's before copays, before you hit your deductible, before anything actually goes wrong. Student loans. The average millennial with student debt is paying $300 to $500 per month, every month, for a decade, sometimes 2 decades. Let's add this up for someone making $100,000 living in a mid-tier city. Not New York, not San Francisco, somewhere normal. Austin, Denver, Charlotte, Nashville. Take-home pay after taxes, approximately $70,000 per year. That's $5,833 per month. Rent, $1,700. Basic living expenses, $839. Transportation, $1,000. Healthcare, $300. Student loans, $400. Phone, internet, streaming subscriptions, $200. Total monthly expenses, $4,439. Money left over, $1,394. $1,394 per month. $16,728 per year. That's your discretionary income. That's what you have left to save for a house, invest for retirement, build an emergency fund, go on vacation, go out to dinner, buy new clothes, fix your laptop when it breaks, help your parents, have any kind of life at all. You're making six figures, and you've got $16,000 a year in actual free money. Your parents, making $55,000 in 2000, had about the same amount left over. Actually, they probably had more because their housing costs were lower. This is why a recent survey found that 58% of six-figure earners no longer feel financially secure. This is why high earners are shopping at dollar stores now. This is why people making $120,000 a year are saying they feel broke. Because they are. Now let's zoom out and look at what's happening at the generational level. Because this isn't just about individual struggle. This is about the largest transfer of wealth in American history, and it's going in the wrong direction. Baby boomers collectively control $82 trillion in wealth. $82 trillion. Gen X controls $42 trillion. Millennials, the largest generation by population, control $16 trillion. That's 5 times less wealth than boomers, even though there are more millennials. Now you might say, of course boomers have more wealth, they're older, they've had more time. And yes, that's true. But when you adjust for age and compare each generation at the same life stage, the gap is still massive. Millennials at age 35 have a median net worth of around $84,000. Gen X at the same age had $78,000. So millennials are doing slightly better than Gen X did. But here's the problem. Both of those numbers are nowhere near where boomers were. And the reason is simple. The primary vehicle for building wealth in America has always been home ownership. You buy a house, you pay down the mortgage, the house appreciates, you build equity, you retire with an asset worth 10 times what you paid for it. Boomers bought houses when they cost 3 times their annual salary. Those houses are now worth 5 to 8 times today's salaries. They're sitting on generational wealth that was built not through hard work or genius investing, but through timing. They were born at the right time. Millennials and Gen Z were born at the wrong time. And it's getting worse, not better. A JP Morgan report from October 2025 found that the career ladder is flattening. Young people's income growth has slowed to some of the lowest levels in over a decade. The JP Morgan researcher said it perfectly. Young people are delaying home purchases because they need to climb further up their career ladder to afford it all. And that career ladder is getting flatter. You need to earn more to afford a house, but you can't earn more because wage growth is stalling. It's a trap, a perfect, inescapable trap. So why are boomers and millennials screaming at each other in the comments of every finance post online? Because they're living in 2 completely different realities. When boomers were climbing the economic ladder in the 80s and 90s, making $100,000 meant you were a doctor, a lawyer, a senior executive. You had a big house in the suburbs, 2 cars, you were sending your kids to college. You were taking vacations. You were wealthy. That's their lived experience. That's what $100,000 meant to them. So when they hear millennials complaining about making $100,000, it sounds insane. It sounds entitled. It sounds like whining. But they're not adjusting for what's happened since then. They remember what $100,000 felt like in 1995. They don't realize that today's $100,000 doesn't buy what their $100,000 bought. This is why posts like, "This is why some boomers still think $100,000 is crazy money" go viral. Because younger generations are trying to explain. The number is the same, but the value is different. Meanwhile, millennials and Gen Z are watching people with master's degrees working 3 jobs. They're seeing friends with 6-figure salaries living with roommates. They're experiencing firsthand what it's like when the basic economic formulas stop working. They're not lazy. They're not entitled. They're trapped in an economy that was built for their parents and then dismantled before they got there. So here's the question everyone wants answered. What do you actually need to earn in 2025 to live the life that $100,000 bought in 2000. If $100,000 today equals $53,000 in 2000, then to match what $100,000 felt like in 2000, you would need to make approximately $188,000 today. $188,000. Let that number sit with you for a second. To have the lifestyle your parents had on a $100,000 salary 25 years ago, you need to make almost $190,000 now. You need to almost double it. For most people, that's not realistic. Most people will never make $180,000. The median household income is $83,000. Half the country makes less than that. So what do? What are your actual options when the math doesn't work? Here's the hard truth, and then the real advice. The hard truth. For most people, $100,000 isn't enough anymore. Not in major cities. Not if you want to own a home, raise kids, and retire comfortably. The middle-class life your parents had on $55,000 now costs $150,000 to $180,000. Now here's what you can actually do. First, stop comparing yourself to what your parents had at your age. The game changed. Their $55,000 went further than your $100,000. It's not a fair comparison, and beating yourself up over it is wasting energy you need for actual solutions. Second, renting might actually be the smart financial move right now. In June 2025, buying a starter home costs $908 more per month than renting in the top 50 metros. That's almost $11,000 a year. If you take that $11,000 and invest it in index funds at a 10% average annual return, in 10 years, you'll have over $170,000. That's a down payment. That's options. That's power. Third, run your own numbers. Actually sit down and calculate your real discretionary income after all your fixed costs. That number, not your salary, is your real wealth-building number. That's the number that matters. Fourth, geographic arbitrage is real and powerful. A $100,000 salary in Austin or Boston is not the same as $100,000 in Pittsburgh, Memphis, or Raleigh. In some cities, buying is still cheaper than renting. In some cities, your money goes twice as far. Sometimes the answer isn't working harder. Sometimes the answer is moving smarter. Fifth, focus on increasing your income, not just cutting costs. When your rent is $2,000 and your student loans are $400, cutting $50 from your grocery bill won't change your life, but negotiating a $10,000 raise or switching jobs for a 20% pay bump will. Income is your leverage. Maximize it. Sixth, understand that this is systemic, not personal. You're not failing because you're bad with money. You're struggling because the purchasing power of your salary has been cut in half, while the cost of assets doubled. That's not your fault, but it is your reality. Plan accordingly. Here's what nobody in power wants to admit. We are living through one of the largest wealth transfers in human history, and it's going the wrong direction. Boomers are sitting on $82 trillion. Millennials have $16 trillion. Gen Z is starting even further behind. The system that allowed previous generations to build wealth, affordable housing, strong wage growth, employer pensions, accessible healthcare, is gone. It was dismantled piece by piece while everyone was told to work harder, save more, make better choices. But you can't budget your way out of structural inequality. You can't side hustle your way out of a housing crisis. You can't Dave Ramsey your way into a house that costs 6 times your salary. Sarah, that software engineer sitting in her car in Austin, isn't crazy for feeling broke. Kelsey and Tim, that couple in New Jersey who gave up after losing 15 bids, aren't failures. The 79% of millennials who say they can't afford a home aren't entitled. The math backs them up. The data proves them right. $100,000 doesn't mean what it used to mean. And until wages catch up to the cost of living, or housing prices come back down to earth, or policy changes to rebalance the scales, this is the new reality. The American dream didn't die. It just got twice as expensive. And they didn't bother to tell you until you'd already spent a decade trying to reach it. Now you know the real numbers. Now you can stop blaming yourself. Now you can stop comparing yourself to a generation that played a completely different game. And now you can start planning around the actual economy you're living in, not the one you were promised. Because once you see the game clearly, you can at least start playing it better.